నా స్క్రీన్ కనపడుతుందా?
వస్తుంది.
ఈరోజు మన టాపిక్ ఏదంటే SSL డిక్రిప్షన్. అసలు డిక్రిప్షన్ అంటే ఏంది, అండ్ అదేవిధంగా SSL డిక్రిప్షన్ అంటే ఏంది, హౌ ద Palo Alto firewall inspect this SSL traffic, and how it will decrypt the SSL traffic when it flowing through the firewall. Okay, on this class our main agenda is we need to know what is decryption as well as SSL decryption and types of SSL decryption. One is an SSL forward proxy and another one is an SSL inbound inspection. Apart from this SSL, and we have also the SSH proxy. Same like SSL, how the SSH sessions will be decrypted and inspected by the firewalls. Okay. And what is decryption means? Decryption in Palo Alto firewall, what it will do is whenever the traffic reaching the firewall, it will inspect that, it will decrypt the traffic first, and it will inspect the traffic whether there is an malicious contents is present in the traffic, and based upon the security rules, and it will allow the traffic. Okay, and the main aim of decryption is that it will decrypt the encrypted traffic. Whenever the firewall receives the encrypted traffic, it will decrypt and inspect the traffic, okay, for any malicious content. In the same way, the SSL decryption also, it will, what it will do is whenever the SSL traffic reaches, like whenever we are మనం ఎప్పుడైతే వెబ్ బ్రౌజర్లో కానీ ఏదన్నా సపోజ్ క్రోమ్ కానీ ఫైర్ ఫాక్స్ కానీ ఎడ్జ్లో కానీ మనం ఎప్పుడైతే www.google.com ఆర్ www.facebook.com or www.youtube.com, what it will do is it will generate the client generated traffic, which is an SSL, and it will use an HTTPS, right? The SSL and TLS mainly use an HTTPS, where it will be an secured way, and whenever the traffic, this HTTPS traffic reaches the firewall, what it will do is first it will decrypt that SSL traffic, okay, and it will decrypt and it will inspect that firewall, inspect the traffic. In the SSL, mostly it will be having some URLs, and whatever the URL that you are going to browse on the browsers. Okay, for suppose www.google.com, we are searching for, we are trying to access www.google.com. The www.google.com traffic reaches the firewall with an encrypted format. The firewall decrypt that traffic and inspect that www.google.com whether it is coming from the legitimate user or not, whether these www.google.com is allowed to pass through the firewall. Okay, based upon the security rules, and based upon the certain profiles that we have configured on the firewalls. In the last class we have discussed about the security rules, right? We need to the firewall will, after the inspection, the firewall will allow the traffic to pass through the firewall up, based upon the security rules. Okay, if the security rules is set to allow for that URL, and it will, the traffic will allow the allow the www.google.com traffic. Okay, otherwise it will drop the traffic. Okay, and in the SSL decryption, the firewall mainly acting as a proxy. Proxy means it will be sitting in the middle between the client and the server, and what it will do is whatever the traffic coming between client and the server, it will sit in the middle and it will try to inspect that traffic. Okay, and how the firewall will inspect the traffic, and how the traffic between client and the server will pass. We can see more in the SSL forward proxy and SSL inbound inspection. Okay. Before that, before going that, మీకు SSL హ్యాండ్షేక్ గురించి తెలుసా?
నో. నో. తెలీదు.
ఓకే. Before discussing about SSL decryption, we can know about SSL handshake. Okay, same like TCP handshake, there will be a process called SSL handshake. You know the DNS process, right? How the firewall, sorry, how the DNS will resolve the IP address. Okay, you know, right? DNS resolution.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
After
DNS local.
yeah, DNS lookup. After the DNS resolution, what it will happen, right? It will the client will do an TCP handshake. Okay. After DNS resolution, what it is happen, right? It will happen the TCP handshake for SHS. Okay. If you are using HTTPS www.youtube.com. Okay. When you are trying to access www.youtube.com, first it will do an DNS resolution. Okay, it will get an IP. DNS resolution will be happen, and after DNS resolution happen, it will get an IP. So something like if we get 1.1.1.1. Okay, it get YouTube www.youtube.com will get an IP 1.1.1. After that, what it will do is, this is an HTTPS, right? HTTPS will use an TCP protocol. So after HTTP, after DNS resolution, TCP handshake will happen. TCP three-way handshake. Okay, three-way handshake will happen. After three-way handshake is completed, SSL handshake will happen. Okay, in the SSL handshake, what it will do is, it will the SSL handshake is between client and the server. If we have a client and we have a server, okay, can call it as a client, and this is a server. what what exactly happen in the SSL handshake? Okay, whenever they are trying to access HTTPS www.youtube.com, what it will do is, first the client will send an message. Like, what message it will send to, right? From client to the server, it will send an client hello. Okay, this is the client hello is the first message from the client to the server. What exactly this client hello contains? Okay, this client hello will contain list of, first it is supported versions. It will have the supported versions, like supported version in the sense there will be an SSL TLS versions, like TLS 1.1 or TLS 1.2 or TLS 1.3. Okay, these are the versions that SSL TLS supports. Okay, the latest one is an TLS 1.3. Okay, and with the supported versions, it will also send an supported cipher suits. What cipher suits contains is all the cipher suit instance authentication algorithms and hashing algorithms and encryption algorithms, all these combinedly called as an cipher suits. Okay, authentication, hashing, and encryption algorithms. All these algorithms will commonly called as cipher suits. Okay, will commonly called as cipher suits. Okay, and the client will send all the supported cipher suits and the versions. Okay, and it sent to the server. Yeah, and from server to client. Okay, sorry, take this. From server to client, what we will get is server hello. Now client hello is done. Okay, whatever the things that the client is going to support it, it sends. Okay, and what server will do is upon all the supported versions and supported ciphers with the client send, it will select one of the supported versions and one of the cipher suits in the collection of all the supported versions, supported cipher suits that client sent to the server. Okay, what it will do is it will select one of, for suppose it will select an TLS 1.3. Okay, for suppose it supports an TLS 1.3, and it will send an it will send in the server hello. Okay, and it will select the one of the cipher suits. Okay, supported cipher suits. Okay, one of the cipher suits it will select, and it will include in the client hello, and sorry, server hello. And apart from that server hello, what it will do is it will send an certificate. What certificate will do is, in the server hello, certificate will send from server to the client for authentication purpose. Okay, this certificate will be used for the authentication purpose, and it will comes to know it is contacting or it is reaching to the correct domain or correct server. Okay, and apart from that server, it will send an server random. Okay, this is some random bytes where the server sending, we can get to know later in this topic. Okay, and in the client hello as well, the client will send an client random as well. Okay, client random, this is in some random bytes. Okay, this is a client random where the client will send to the server. In the from the in response to client hello, the signed client will send an, this is a server hello. In the server hello, the server supported version and server supported cipher suits from one of the so versions and cipher suits that client sends. The server choose that one of the version and cipher suits. అదేవిధంగా ఈ సపోర్టెడ్ వర్షన్ సైఫర్ సూట్తో పాటు సర్వర్ ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే సర్టిఫికేట్, అదేవిధంగా సర్వర్ ర్యాండమ్ని సెండ్ చేస్తుంది. ఎందుకంటే సర్టిఫికేట్ ఎందుకంటే అథెంటికేషన్ కోసం. వన్స్ ద సర్టిఫికేట్స్ ద క్లయింట్ రిసీవ్స్ ద సర్టిఫికేట్, ఇది ఏం చేస్తుందంటే క్లయింట్ అథెంటికేషన్ చేసుకుంటుంది, ఇది నేను కరెక్ట్ సర్వర్కి కరెక్ట్ డొమైన్కి రీచ్ అవుతున్నా లేదా అని. ఓకే, అండ్ సర్వర్ ర్యాండమ్ అనేది జస్ట్ అండ్ ర్యాండమ్ బైట్స్ where we can get to know the more detailed information in the next steps. After client hello and server hello, what client will do is it will send an pre-master key. It will generate an pre-master key. Yeah, along with the certificate, what the server will send is, along with the certificate, the server will send an public key. Okay, the for every client and server there will be have its own public key and private key, and server also have its own public and private key. So along with the server, the along with the certificate, the server will send an public key. Okay, public key. Okay, and what it will do is the client will generate an pre-master key. Here the client will generate an pre-master key. client generate an pre-master key and it will be encrypted with the public key. What it will do is it will encrypt this pre-master key with the public key. Okay, the pre-master key is encrypted with the public key and it will send to the server. Okay, and what server will do is server has its own private key, right? The encrypted pre-master key will be ప్రైవేట్ కీ యూజ్ చేసుకొని ఈ సర్వర్ అనేది ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీని డిక్రిప్ట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, సో ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే మనకి క్లయింట్ దగ్గర ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీ ఉంటుంది, అదేవిధంగా సర్వర్ దగ్గర కూడా ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీ ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, client have its own pre-master key and server is it has the pre-master key and ఏదైతే ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీ మనం క్లయింట్ నుంచి పంపిస్తామో ఈ సర్వర్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే ప్రైవేట్ కీ యూజ్ చేసుకొని ఈ ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీని డీక్రిప్ట్ చేస్తుంది. డీక్రిప్ట్ చేసుకొని ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీని స్టోర్ చేసుకుంటుంది. వాట్ దిస్ ప్రీ-మాస్టర్ కీ విల్ డూ ఈస్, మనం ఇక్కడ ఫస్ట్ క్లయింట్ హల్లోలో క్లయింట్ ర్యాండమ్ పంపించాం కదా, అదేవిధంగా సర్వర్ ర్యాండమ్ పంపించాం కదా, and at the same time the client generate an pre-master key using all these keys. Okay, using client random plus server random plus
ఇప్పుడు ఈ
pre-master.
ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ మొత్తము ఫైర్‌వాల్ యూట్యూబ్ సర్వర్ మధ్యలో ఉంటది కదా! అంతేనా?
లేదు, ఇది నార్మల్, నేను క్లయింట్ సర్వర్ మధ్యలో చెప్తాను. ఇప్పుడు ఫైర్ వాల్ ఏమి ఇంక్లూడ్ లేదు ప్రస్తుతానికి. ఓకే,
ఈ టోటల్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ ఫైర్‌వాల్
సారీ,
ఓకే.
నేను
యాహ్!
ఇంకా
యాహ్!
ఫైర్ వాల్
ఓకే.
ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయలేదు. ఓకే, ఇది జస్ట్ అండ్
యాహ్!
ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ హ్యాండ్ చెక్. ఓకే, నేను ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ హ్యాండ్ చెక్, నువ్వు ఒక బ్రౌజర్లో ఒక వెబ్సైట్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసినప్పుడు హౌ ద encrypted, how the traffic will be encrypted and decrypted. Okay, how it will be going to encrypt and decrypt between client and server when you are trying to access some website on the web browser. Okay,
బ్రో
yes,
ఇప్పుడు హలో
yeah, yeah, yeah.
బ్రో, ఇప్పుడు మీరు క్లయింట్ దగ్గర ఫైర్ వాల్ పెట్టుకున్నా కూడా ఇదే హలో ప్రాసెస్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ హ్యాండ్ షేక్ జరుగుతుందా?
అదే
ఇప్పుడు
అదే
మీరు
అది
సర్వర్
నెక్స్ట్,
అంటే
అది నెక్స్ట్
రిమోట్
మీకు
సర్వర్
అదే
అంటే
అదే అదే అది అర్థం కావడం కోసం నేను ఇది చెప్తున్నా ముందర. మీకు ఇది ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ ఫార్వర్డ్ ప్రాక్సీలో మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది హౌ ద ఫైర్ వాల్ విల్ ఇన్స్పెక్ట్, హౌ ద ఫైర్ వాల్ కమ్ ఇన్ ద మిడిల్ బిట్వీన్ client and the server. Okay, you can come more
ఓకే ఓకే
you can come to know more about once you done with once I teach SSL forward proxy. Okay,
ఓకే
okay, and yeah, in the client hello we have client random and server hello లో సర్వర్ random ఉంది. అదేవిధంగా ఇక్కడ మనం ప్రీ మాస్టర్ కి క్లయింట్ జనరేట్ చేసి సర్వర్కి సెండ్ చేసింది కదా, క్లయింట్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే యూజింగ్ దిస్ క్లయింట్ ర్యాండమ్, సర్వర్ ర్యాండమ్ అండ్ ప్రీ మాస్టర్ కి it will generate an session key. Okay, all these combinedly generate one session key. Okay, at the same time the server also generate an session key using these all these client random, because the client send and client random, server send and server random, at the same time the client generate an pre-master key and send the pre-master key to the server. So the client and server will have all client random, server random, pre-master key. Okay, and the client generate, the server generate an client session key using server random, client random, pre-master key. Okay, all these will combinedly generate an session key on both sides. Okay, on both the client and server, we can call it as an session keys, session key, and this is also called as session key. This is the session, this is the key where the traffic will be decrypted and encrypted between client and server. Okay, once the session keys are generated, these session keys or ఈ session key ఎందుకు యూజ్ చేస్తారంటే encryption decryption between the client and the server. Whenever you are trying to access or trying to reach https www.youtube.com, the traffic between client and server will be an encrypted format in the secure manner. So if the server want to decrypt the traffic, they need a session key. And if the whenever the server responding with the request of the client, it will also in the encrypted format. So to encrypt the traffic or to decrypt the traffic, the client will use the same session key. Okay, once the session keys are generated on both client and server, what the client will send is client will send an finished message, and it will send an finished message, and it will say that I am ready for the secure transmission. Okay, secure transmission of the data or traffic. Okay, once the session keys are generated, the client will send an finished message. Okay, and at the same time, once the client send an finished message, the server also will send an finished message with the same. Okay, once the finished message is sent received on both sides, the client and the server will form an one SSL tunnel. Okay, the SSL tunnel will be formed between client and server for the traffic. This will be an encrypted traffic. Okay, encrypted. This will tunnel will be formed between the client and server for the data transmission or the traffic transmission between the client and server. This will be an encrypted format. These session keys on both sides will be used to encrypt and decrypt this data. Okay, this is how the client SSL handshake or TLS handshake will be happen between client and server. Okay, now we can come with the firewall in between. Okay, this is first one is an SSL forward proxy. Okay, how the client will, how the firewall will be in the middle of the client and server, or we can call it as a firewall as a man in the middle. Okay, it will be sitting in the middle, and it will whatever the client is sending before getting into the actual data, what firewall will do is the firewall will be acting as an server to the client and client to the server. Okay, it will form two SSL sessions from between client and the firewall, one SSL session, and from between firewall and the server, one SSL session. There will be a two SSL sessions in the forward proxy. Okay, what the firewall will do is firewall will act as a server for the client. ఫైర్వాల్ ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే క్లయింట్కి సర్వర్గా యాక్ట్ చేస్తుంది, సర్వర్కి ఏం చేస్తుంది, క్లయింట్గా యాక్ట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే ఫస్ట్ క్లయింట్ ఇది ఏం చేస్తుంది, క్లయింట్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ సెషన్ ఇనిషియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, లైక్ దిస్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ సెషన్ ఇనిషియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఫస్ట్ క్లయింట్ హలో పంపిస్తుంది. క్లయింట్ హలో పంపించగానే ఇక్కడ మనకి ఏముంటుంది అంటే మధ్యలో ఫైర్వాల్ వస్తుంది. ఈ ఫైర్వాల్ ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే ఇవి ఏవైతే క్లయింట్ హలో పంపించిందో ఇది ఫైర్వాల్లో పెట్టుకొని, ఫైర్వాల్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే ఫైర్వాల్ అనేది దీని యొక్క ఒరిజినల్ క్లయింట్ హలోని ఇక్కడే పెట్టుకొని firewall will generate a new client hello to the server with the all the whatever the client sent to the server. It will take all these inputs and all this information from the client hello. It will generate its own client hello and send to the server. Okay, and once the server once the client hello sent between the firewall and the server, once the firewall send an client hello to the server will respond with the server hello. Okay, once the server responds the server hello, the client will the firewall will be receiving this server hello along with all this information, certificate, server random, public key, all this information, the firewall will receive this. And what firewall will do is, firewall will check the certificate. This certificate will be issued by some trusted there will be an in this topic there will be some uh, certificate like self-signed certificate or third-party certificate. Self-signed certificate in the sense the certificate which is signed by its own self. Okay, for every certificate there will be one domain or one we can call it as an certificate authority. Okay, if the certificate authority is signing and this certificate is reaching the firewall, and this certificate authority will be in the trusted domain. Okay, the firewall will have the some default trusted store, trust domain store. అది ఏది ఈ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఏదైతే సైన్ చేసిందో ఆ సర్టిఫికేట్ సిఏ అనేది ఫైర్ వాల్లో ఉండాలన్నమాట. ఫైర్ వాల్ ట్రస్టెడ్ డొమైన్లో ఉంటుంది. ఆ ట్రస్టెడ్ డొమైన్లో ఉందంటే ఈ ఫైర్ వాల్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఈ సర్వర్ అనేది ట్రస్ట్ చేస్తున్నట్టు అనమాట. ఓకే, అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తా అంటే ఈ సర్టిఫికేట్ని ఇక్కడ పెట్టుకొని ఇది ఈ ఫైర్ వాల్ ఇట్ విల్ జనరేట్ ఏ న్యూ సర్టిఫికేట్. ఓకే, ఇట్ విల్ జనరేట్ ఏ న్యూ సర్టిఫికేట్ అండ్ ఇట్ విల్ సెండ్ టు ద క్లయింట్. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ న్యూ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఎలా జనరేట్ చేస్తుంది అంటే, వన్స్ ద సర్టిఫికేట్ రీచింగ్ టు ద ఫైర్ వాల్ ఇట్ విల్ చెక్ ద హూ సైన్ ద సర్టిఫికేట్. there will be an one trusted once the certificate reads it will have its own trusted CA. Okay, that trusted certificate authority will be listed in the firewalls. If the firewall అనేది ట్రస్టెడ్ డిఫాల్ట్ స్టోర్లో ఉంది అంటే it will be considered as an server will be a trusted one, and certificate will be the new certificate is generated on the firewall with the same information and who is issued by and the expiry date. Each certificate have its own expiry dates. Once the certificate expires, we need to renew the certificate. Okay, with all the expired information issued by fields, it will firewall ఏం చేస్తుంటే న్యూ సర్టిఫికేట్ జనరేట్ చేసి ఈ సర్వర్ హలో బిట్వీన్ ఫైర్వాల్ అండ్ ద క్లయింట్. ఓకే, ఫైర్వాల్ అండ్ ద సర్వర్ హలో సెండ్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, అండ్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఈ క్లయింట్ ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే సేమ్ ఇదే ప్రీ మాస్టర్ కీని జనరేట్ చేసి ఫైర్వాల్ పంపిస్తుంది. ఫైర్వాల్ ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే సేమ్ ఇక్కడ మనకి ఫైర్వాల్ ఇది డిక్రిప్ట్ చేసుకొని ఫస్ట్ ఇక్కడ నుంచి క్లయింట్ నుంచి రాగానే ఇక్కడ డిక్రిప్ట్ చేసుకొని మళ్ళీ ఇక్కడ ఎన్క్రిప్ట్ చేసి ఫైర్వాల్ మళ్ళీ పంపిస్తుంది అనమాట. ఓకే, అండ్ this is how the firewall will be in between the client and server and will inspect. Okay, if you see in the diagram how it will showing is first ఏం చేస్తుందంటే client initiate an SSL session with the server, but the client కి server కి they don't know about the firewall is in between. They thought that client and server ఏం చేస్తాయంటే డైరెక్ట్గా నేను సర్వర్తోనే కనెక్ట్ అవుతున్నా, సర్వర్ కూడా ఏమనుకుంటుంది డైరెక్ట్గా క్లయింట్తోనే కనెక్ట్ అవుతున్నా అనుకుంటుంది. కానీ వీళ్ళకి ఈ రెండింటి తెలియదు, క్లయింట్కి సర్వర్కి తెలియదు ఫైర్ వాల్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ ద క్లయింట్ అండ్ ద సర్వర్. ఓకే, అండ్ ఇది ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే క్లయింట్ ఏం చేస్తే ఫస్ట్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ సెషన్ ఇనిషియేట్ చేసి సర్వర్ పంపిస్తుంది. బిఫోర్ గోయింగ్ టు సర్వర్ ద ఫైర్ వాల్ విల్ ఇన్స్పెక్ట్ దట్ రిక్వెస్ట్. ఓకే, and it will inspect the request and it will generate its own client request, client hello between the firewall and the server. Okay, see here in the third step firewall initiate the SSL session with the server. Okay, it will generate its own SSL request to the server and the server receives the request and server thought that server ఏమనుకుంటుంది నాకు డైరెక్ట్గా క్లయింట్ నుంచి వచ్చిందిలే అనుకుంటుంది. కానీ they don't know about the firewall is in between client and the server. Okay, and the server will send all the information with the signed certificate. Okay, signed certificate చెప్పాను కదా, the every certificate has to be signed with some CS certificate authorities. If there is no CA signed the certificate won't be validated. The certificate is considered as a duplicate or it is an invalid certificate. Okay, it will check the signed certificate and it will check the firewall will check the default trusted certificate folder, so that it will if the trusted whoever the signed CA is there, if it is firewall found in the default certificate store, so it will generate a new certificate. And see here, the firewall signs a copy of certificate and send to the client. It will generate its own certificate, and the firewall sign this server certificate, okay, with the whatever the information the server will send, and it will send to the client. Okay, the client verifies the certificate from the firewall, and it will form an SSL tunnel between client and the server. Before that, all these things will be happen before forming the SSL tunnel. All these whatever the things I have told here, these all the things will be happen between the client and the server when firewall is in the middle. Okay, main thing here in the in the SSL forward proxies, the firewall has the firewall needs to be have this సైన్ హూఎవర్ ఎవరైతే మనకి సర్టిఫికేట్ సైన్ చేసి ఉంటారో అది డిఫాల్ట్ స్టోర్లో ఉండాలి. దట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ పాయింట్ హియర్ వెన్ firewall come in the middle between client and the server. If not, the session between the client and server won't be accepted or won't be generated. Okay, this is the main motto of the SSL forward proxy. The SSL forward proxy means the firewall acting as a man in the middle, or the firewall acting as a proxy, and it will inspect the traffic between the client and server, and it will acting as a server to the client and client to the server, and form the two SSL sessions, one between client and the firewall, and the second one between the firewall and the server. Okay, and once the tunnel is established between the client and the firewall, once there are two SSL tunnels will be happen, like client and the server, and server firewall and the server. Okay, sorry, client and the firewall, and firewall and the server. And the firewall decrypt the SSL traffic from the server, and once it decrypts, and it will inspect the traffic, and it will check the security rules. All the it will go for the malicious inspection and threat inspection. All this inspection will be done, and once it is passed through that, and it will again re-encrypt. Okay, re-encrypt the traffic, and it will send to the client. This is how the SSL forward proxy will be happen in the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, do you have ఏమైనా questions ఉన్నాయా, ఏమైనా queries ఉన్నాయా?
ఈ టైప్ ఆఫ్ కనెక్టివిటీని విన్సాక్ కనెక్టివిటీ అంటారు, అదేనా ఇది?
సారీ,
విన్సాక్ కనెక్టివిటీ అంటారు కదా, ఇదేనా అది?
విన్సాక్ ద టర్మ్ నేనైతే ఎప్పుడు వినలేదు, కానీ Palo Altoలో అయితే Palo Altoలో మనం SSL ఫార్వర్డ్ ప్రాక్సీ అంటాం. మీరు ఇంకా ఏమైనా అంటే
ఇప్పుడు
తీసుకోవాలన్నా?
యాక్చువల్గా ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ ఓకే, ఇక్కడ ఎండ్ యూజర్ కమ్యూనికేట్ అవుతున్నాడు అని అంటే అతను గ్లోబల్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ ద్వారా విపిఎన్ కనెక్ట్ అయ్యి ఈ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ మొత్తం జరుగుతుంది అనుకోవాలి ఇక్కడ.
గ్లోబల్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ ద్వారానే అని కాదు, మనం మేబీ వితౌట్ గ్లోబల్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ కూడా అవ్వచ్చు. ఓకే,
ఓకే,
ఇట్స్ మనం ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తామంటే ఫైర్వాల్లో డిక్రిప్షన్ పాలసీ ఉంటుంది, సేమ్ లైక్ సెక్యూరిటీ పాలసీ. వీ కెన్ క్రియేట్ అండ్ డిక్రిప్షన్ పాలసీ. Okay, and we can allow the traffic between the client and server. Once the traffic reaches the firewall, it will check the decryption policy whether this traffic is need to decrypt or not. If it is, if the firewall is not mentioned to decrypt the traffic, it won't decrypt, it will send without decryption. Or if there is any security rule that is that will be drop, that the security rule want to drop the traffic based upon the security rule, it will allow. Okay, we have an same like security policy, we have a decryption policy, whether the traffic between the client and server need to be decrypted or not. Once if the traffic is marked as an decrypt, the firewall will decrypt and go for the inspection. Okay,
యా, ఓకే.
any doubts? Actually, this SSL forward proxy is mainly used for the outgoing traffic. Okay, outgoing traffic or outbound traffic. Outgoing traffic in the sense, let us consider this is an our internal zone or internal network, and this is an outgoing network or outbound network. Okay, if whenever the traffic going from inside to outside, this SSL forward proxy will be used. Okay, but for the incoming traffic we can use an inbound inspection. This is two different types. Where traffic is going from inside to outside, we can use forward proxy. When the traffic is coming from outside to inside, we can use an inbound inspection. Okay,
Yeah.
this is all about SSL forward proxy, and we have a detailed explanation of this. Once we complete the class, I will be uploading this document in our website. You can access that and you can go through this. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is an next one is an SSL inbound inspection. This SSL inbound inspection ఎప్పుడు యూజ్ చేస్తామంటే whenever the traffic is coming from outside network to inside. Okay, outside network inside మనం ఇక్కడ ఇంటర్నెట్లో కూర్చొని ఉంటాం. Whenever we need to access our internal server, the server which are be inside the corporate network. Okay, and we are sitting outside in the network, that where the traffic going from outside to inside, then firewall will do an inspection for that, and it will be the same like how the forward proxy will be works. It will also do the same thing, but before doing that, what it won't do an in this way. It won't do an it won't here we have an server, right? Server is responding with the certificate, but in the SSL inbound inspection, before generating a traffic, we need to import the server certificate and key onto the firewall. It won't send an certificate from when client is reaching from outside to inside, because if the server is responding with the certificate, any malicious attackers will also get the server certificate, right? Then no need to point of having the firewall in between. So what it will do is the server, before we are reaching to the server, what admins have to do is we need to import the server certificate which is generated in the server, and along with the server certificate we need to install the public key into the server. Okay, what it will do is when the traffic reaching from the client to the server, the firewall will inspect the traffic, and it will, if the firewall is considered as an legitimate user, it will send an certificate, server certificate and key to the client. Okay, what it will do is it will send an back to the client, and it will be used for the decryption and encryption of the SSL session between the client and the server. Okay, once the decrypt the firewall send an certificate to the client will use the certificate and tries to access the server and authenticate the server. And after authentication, what it will do is it will the firewall will be in the middle, and it will decrypt the inspect the traffic. Okay, once all the steps are completed between the client and server, this SSL tunnel will be formed between the client and server, where the firewall will be in between, and the firewall will be decrypt and re-encrypt the traffic between the client and the server. Okay, the main difference between the forward proxy and inbound inspection is the forward proxy, the firewall will generate its own certificate and send to the client. Okay, but in the inbound inspection, we are manually importing the certificate into the firewall, and this firewall will send that server certificate to the client. Okay, this is the main difference between forward proxy and inbound inspection. The other difference is it is between the traffic when the forward proxy will be used between uh, the traffic going out from the our internal network. May, it is called as an outbound traffic. The forward proxy will be used for the outbound traffic, and inbound inspection will be used for the inbound traffic. Okay, inbound traffic in the sense the traffic coming from outside to the inside. This is a main difference. Okay, you have to remember these two differences. Apart from this, the functionality and the functionality wise both will be the same. Okay. Yeah, the same thing. The firewall will create two sessions between the client and the firewall, and so firewall and the server. The same like how we have discussed in the మనం సేమ్ ఎలా అయితే ఫార్వర్డ్ ప్రాక్సీ చెప్పుకున్నామో ఇలా ఇక్కడ కూడా టూ సెషన్స్ ఫామ్ అయితే, అండ్ వన్స్ ద టనల్ ఈస్ SSL tunnel is completed, the firewall will decrypt and encrypt the traffic. Once the traffic is decrypted, it will check for the all the malicious threat preventions or threat attacks, whatever, and whatever the firewalls needs to be done for this traffic, and it will also check for the security rule. After it decrypt, it will mainly do the security checkup. Okay, if the security rule is configured to allow this traffic, it will allow, otherwise it will drop the traffic. Okay. This is all about SSL decryption. This is all about SSL decryption. We have SSL forward proxy, and we have SSL inbound inspection. Okay, these are the two main things that firewall will provide, to the main features for this SSL traffic when we are initiating the traffic from the web browser. Okay, if there is no firewall in between the client and server, mostly there will be no secure way to reach the client to the server. Okay, once the client and server will able to see, if it is the client, if there is no firewall, anyone can reach the server and get the resources from the server, right? So there is no need, there is no point of having a security here. So for that purpose, we are adding the firewall in between client and server, so that firewall will decrypt the traffic and do an inspection whether this is an legitimate user or not, whether we need to allow the traffic, మనం ట్రాఫిక్ ద క్లయింట్ నుంచి సర్వర్కి ట్రాఫిక్ అలౌ చేయాలా లేదా. ద ఫైర్వాల్ విల్ ఇన్స్పెక్ట్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్. ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఇస్ నో ఫైర్వాల్, ఎవరైనా వచ్చి సర్వర్ కనెక్ట్ అవ్వచ్చు, యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు. The server will become compromise in some time. Okay. Okay, so the firewall will be used in between client and server for this SSL traffic, or uh, SSL and TLS traffic. Okay. Do you have any doubts till this SSL forward proxy and SSL inbound inspection?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We can move forward with SSH proxy. Okay, SSH proxy in the sense we are doing an SSH, right? We are using putty, and from the client mission we are installing some softwares, సాఫ్ట్వేర్స్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకుని మనం ఎస్ఎస్హెచ్ చేస్తుంటాం. ఏదో ఒక మనం సర్వర్ కానీ, ఇప్పుడు ఏదో ఒక ఇంటర్నెట్లో ఉన్న సర్వర్కి కానీ, ఏదైనా ఇంటర్నెట్లో ఉన్న రౌటర్స్ కానీ, ఫైర్ వాల్స్ కానీ ఎస్ఎస్హెచ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. So SSH, same like SSL and SSL forward proxy and inbound inspection. This SSH proxy also, the firewall inspect this SSH request as well. So the basic difference between SSL and SSH is, in the SSL we are using certificate, right, for decryption and encryption. So here we are using the certificate, SSL server certificate, and as well as here in the inbound inspection we are manually importing the certificate here. So in the SSH proxy we are not using the certificate here. Okay, what the firewall will do is, while booting the firewall will automatically generate keys for this SSH decryption. Okay, for SSH, to inspect the SSH traffic, the firewall will automatically generate a keys. Okay, these keys will be used for the SSH decryption and inspect the traffic. Okay, and once the client send an SSH session to the server, what the firewall will do is, firewall will decrypt the traffic using the keys, SSH keys, whatever the SSH keys available for this traffic. The firewall use that SSH keys, and it will decrypt, and after decrypting it will inspect the SSH request. Okay, and once the SSH request is made, the firewall will initiate again, the firewall also will initiate again session with the server. Okay, what the server will do is, the server sends an SSH response to the client, and here the firewall, what the firewall will do is, the firewall will insert the SSH keys, and it will send to the client, and after sending after the client receive the SSH keys from the firewall, it will form an SSH tunnel. Okay, SSH tunnel between the this client and the firewall, and the firewall and the server. Okay, uh, this is in the SSH we don't have this all this client hello, server hello. Okay, we just an SSH request is sending to the server, and the server is responding to the SSH request of this client. But if the firewall is in between the client and server for these SSH sessions, there will be they forming two sessions between the client and the server. Okay, client and the firewall, and firewall and the server. This firewall in between intercept and decrypt the traffic and intercept whether this SSH traffic will be legitimate, or we need to block this traffic. Okay, so we are using the firewall in between in order to provide an SSH sessions to the legitimate users only. Okay, this is how the SSH proxy will work. Okay, the main difference between SSL proxy and SSL decryption and SSH proxies, in SSL we are using the certificates, but in the SSH we are using the keys. Okay, SSH keys to establish a tunnel, SSH tunnel, or in between client and the server. Okay, this is how the SSH proxy will work. Okay, and I haven't included an SSL handshake here in this document, because this is not an included topic. I have నేను extra మీకు చెప్పాను, just to understand. If you're not aware of this SSL handshake, నేను మీకు అండర్స్టాండింగ్ కోసం చెప్పాను అనమాట, how the SSL handshake will be happen. But it is also useful in terms of when you have to know how the SSL handshake will be happen, how the SSL tunnel will be formed between the client and the server. Okay, this is all about the SSL decryption and SSH proxy. This is very much useful when you are trying to access or trying to get the resources when you are browsing in the browser. Okay, To know that, I can try to get some captures and see. This is about the SSL handshake. It's not. See here, once we initiate any browse, once we try to access www.youtube.com, first it will do an TCP handshake. First three messages will be an TCP three-way handshake will be happen. You will send an SYN, SYNAC and ACK. After completion of if the TCP handshake is not completed, SSL handshake won't start. Okay, for this when you are trying to browse something in the browser, first it will do an TCP handshake. Once the TCP handshake is completed, it will go for the SSL handshake. If TCP handshake is not completed, there will be no SSL handshake will be happen. Okay, so here we TCP three-way handshake is completed. It will send an client hello between the client and the server. If we go through this client hello message, we have an handshake protocol. Okay, see here, these are all the version. The the client is sending the version it supports, but it has only one version, so it is sending only one version. If the client has multiple, it will send an multiple one. Okay, and if you see here, we have an 21 cipher suits. Okay, 21 cipher suits. These cipher suits are combination of all the encryption algorithms, hashing algorithms, and authentication algorithms. Okay, the clients supports 21 suits, 21 cipher suits. Okay, these 21 cipher suits is sending in the client hello to the server, and these are the extensions. Okay, one thing here you need to note down is there is an server name indicator. Server name means whatever we are typing here, whether it is an www.google.com, whether it is www.youtube.com, you will get to know from the server name indicator, SNI extension. We can call it as a server name indicator. So you can get it from the server name. Here they are trying to access 10.0.1.69. Okay, if there is something with, like, if you are browsing www.youtube.com, you can come to know here. So the server name indicates what you are trying to access. Okay, you can make a note of it. ఒక్కొక్కసారి మేబీ దే విల్ ఆస్క్ యూ ఇన్ ద ఇంటర్వ్యూ హౌ ద ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ మనం ఇప్పుడు యూట్యూబ్.com యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాం, గూగుల్.com యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాం. హౌ కెన్ వీ నో దిస్ పర్టికులర్ ట్రాఫిక్ ఈస్ ఫర్ ద google.com or particular traffic is for the youtube.com? So from the server name indicator, in the server name you will get to know whatever you are browsing. If you are browsing www.youtube.com, you can see here www.youtube.com, or if you are searching for www.facebook.com, you can see here server name. Okay, for in this captures it will be showing as an they are trying to access 0.10.0.1.69. Okay, this is the client hello. If we go with the server hello, we have and see here server hello certificate. It send the certificate and it send and server hello done. In the server hello, we'll see here it is also supporting TLS 1.2. From the 21 cipher suit, it is selecting one cipher suit, which is an RSA with AES 128. See here we have a 21 cipher suits, right? It is selecting one among these, which is server supported. Okay, this I think which is the one. CVC shop. This one. It is selected this cipher suits for the further process. Okay. And this is one, right? Okay. This is the client certificate. Client hello. In the client hello, we will see that the version and the cipher suit that it is selected. Along with that, it will send an certificate. Okay. This is a certificate. This is a certificate that they are using, that client is server is sending to the client. Okay. And after that it send an server hello done message after that. Okay. And after that it's sending an client key exchange. Okay. In the client key exchange, it will generate an pre-master key, and it will send to the server with an encrypted one. Okay. With the encrypted. So here we are seeing the encrypted handshake message. So it will send with an encrypted message, and on from here it will share an it will also send, and the client the server will also have that pre-master key, right? And this will be this message will be used to form sessions or the new session ticket. And after once the session keys are formed, it will be changing to change cipher spec, and the session keys will be used for the encrypting the data. So once all the uh, steps are completed, this is the application data. See here, the application data is an encrypted application data. Okay. Because the data which is flowing from client and server will be encrypted with the session keys. Okay. Once the data will be reached to the server will use the session key to decrypt and read the data. In between, we cannot read. Once you are trying to access in between that traffic, that will be an encrypted form. This is how the SSL handshake between the client and server. Okay. This is all about SSL decryption. Okay. Tomorrow we will be demonstrating the lab on this. Okay. You can go through this document once completion, or once I uploaded to the website. You can go through this document, and if you have any doubts, you can let me know on the group, or you can let me know on the tomorrow's class. Okay. We can go with the tomorrow మనం ఏం చేద్దామంటే మనం ల్యాబ్ చేద్దాం ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ డిక్రిప్షన్, హౌ ద ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ డిక్రిప్షన్. But in the real time scenario, we will be using only SSL forward proxy. Okay. And these inbound inspection and SSH proxy will be less. Okay. This inbound inspection means once the client is the firewall is receiving the traffic from outbound to inbound. Okay. But in the real time scenarios, I mostly worked on the SSL forward proxy only. There will be the the less chances of using inbound inspection and SSH proxy. Okay. SSH proxy will be used, but there are less members where they are trying to include the firewall when they are SSHing doing an SSH to the servers. But most probably the ultimately SSL forward proxy is the main thing in the real time we are using. Okay. We can go with the lab tomorrow. Okay.
ఓకే బ్రో.
నాగనవీన్, నువ్వేమైనా ల్యాబ్ సెటప్ చేసుకున్నావా, లేక ఎలాగా? నువ్వేమైనా
ల్యాబ్ ఇంకా సెటప్ చేసుకోలేదు. నాది ల్యాప్టాప్ 8 GB ర్యామ్ సపోర్ట్ చేయదని.
ఓకే. ఓకే. ల్యాబ్ నీకు ల్యాబ్ సెటప్ కాకపోతే యూ కెన్ యూజ్ దిస్ క్లౌడ్. ఓకే. యూ కెన్ రిజిస్టర్ దిస్ క్లౌడ్ lab can and can access this. Okay. Once you register, you will get an username and pass credentials, so that you can register అయిన తర్వాత నీకు యూజర్ నేమ్ క్రెడెన్షియల్స్ ఇస్తారు. యూ కెన్ ఆ యూజర్ నేమ్ క్రెడెన్షియల్స్ యూజ్ చేసి Once you
Okay, bro.
get the lab, you can let
వంశీని కాంటాక్ట్ అవ్వమా బ్రో?
యా వంశీని కాంటాక్ట్ అవ్వు. నీకు ల్యాబ్ యాక్సెస్ ఇస్తాడు. ల్యాబ్ యాక్సెస్ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత నాకు ఒకసారి చెప్పినావంటే నేను చూస్తాను ఒకసారి. నేను సెటప్ చేసి ఇస్తాను మొత్తం నీకు. ఓకే.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
This is all about for our today's class. Okay, SSL decryption.
ఓకే బ్రో. థ్యాంక్ యూ.